all, Pancakes here, and joining me tonight on The Stack, I have the dad bod demigod, Joey Mayberry. You may have seen him in Chicago Style Wrestling, All Heel Wrestling, Northland Pro, Janesville Wrestling Alliance, and at Effie's Big Gay Brunch, tagging with Mateo Valentine as Gay, which is glamorous and yummy, among other indies around the greater Midwest area. So please welcome tonight to The Stack, Joey Mayberry.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. I'm sure Pollo Del Mar is excited to see me here too.
I specifically said you would never be on The Stack, but then I decided to reach out and build a bridge, not a wall. So all
a
alone,
bridge,
right? We really do. It looks very nice in the ring when someone can do like a really good bridge.
Yes, and unfortunately, like usually when I go for a bridge, I almost blow my back out, not in a good way. And that's pretty much me.
Lord knows I never could. So
I'm like really good at it, but I have a tendency, like when I'm throwing someone to do a bridge, like I'll just land right on my head, and I've learned that's like the worst thing you could do. So I just kind of stop.
Yeah, from what I understand, you need your head moving forward in life. Like it's pretty important. And you can only have so many concussions before you start
Yeah, I've had a few, and I don't think it's really done anything to me so far. Yeah, I've had a few, and I don't think it really does anything to me so far. I think I'm good.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's not find out the hard way.
I'm honestly, fingers crossed, legs crossed, soul crossed. I'm doing my best.
So, one of the things that we were kind of talking about before we went on was you being able to be in the Big Gay Brunch in Chicago this year. In the tag gauntlet, teaming with Mateo as glamorous and yummy.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that there was a fun story about that, and I love a good fun story. So how did that come about?
So it's kind of fun, but also it's the gauntlet, the weirdest word but coolest word ever. I think that was one of my favorite things at brunch, was just everyone going back and forth being like, how do you say gauntlets? That's how we're saying it tonight. But that was great. But the way that we got our tag team name was, so I trained for a few years down in Florida before I kind of took a little hiatus because of some personal reasons. And I got back into wrestling up here in Chicago once I had moved, and I started training, and one of the people there was Mateo Valentine. And instantly, like, it was just, hey sis, how you doing? Like, we were just like real, like we were friends from the get-go. So we just started doing tag team combinations, mostly because we're both huge women's wrestling fans. So we're like, if you ever seen Mateo and I calling a match, it's literally, okay, we're going to go from the Trish Stratus into the Eve Torres into the Gail Kim. And that's how we call matches. And I remember seeing, like, one time Marche Rocket was watching us call a match and Lily was like, what are y'all saying? We're like, don't worry, we got it. And that's like a little highlight thing. But eventually they just started teaming us together, and they're like, do you want to be a tag team? And we're like, yeah, sure, we'll be a tag team. And naturally we're like, I guess they're just teaming us together because we're the two gays. That's, how it usually works. Right. So at some point someone said like DIY, like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano's team. And we were just like, what about GAY? Because we're the two gays that they paired together, like a DIY. So what does GAY stand for? And we're like, well, we're glamorous and yummy. So then we became GAY, and we started competing around the Midwest.
I love that. Like, just put the gays together.
It just kind of happens. I think it's when tag teams get like just kind of pushed together, it seems like they grab the two people who have the most similar traits possible and just go, you two seem like a good fit. And then But with us, it was just kind of like, only you two suck dick. And that was just kind of how it
worked. Well, I'm very glad that you guys got to be in the Gauntlet this year. I was at the Chicago stuff last year at the Big Gay Brunch, and that was when I actually first met you and Mateo, but y'all were just there having a fun fan time like I was. And then to see you go from fun fan time to like in the show made me very happy. So
yeah, it honestly, like, I know a lot of people like get like cheesy when they get to do something that they've just like didn't think they were going to get to do so soon. Because, you know, coming into wrestling, I was still closeted for the very early part of my career. And there was a lot of things that went on with that. But, you know, coming back into wrestling and seeing how much it had progressed, especially thanks to, you know, like the Effies of the world, the Dark Sheiks of the world, really putting a lot of platforms out there for us and really speaking up and really making a change. It was like, oh my God, this is this whole movement and it's taking over. And, you know, when you get that message that says, hey, do you want to be a part of this? After you went and just were a fan to go see it the last year, was like, you know, it sounds so cheesy and it sounds so stupid, but I was just so hyped and so happy to be there. Like, I had a little pep in my step walking around backstage, and God, it was so much fun.
I so far have been to every Big Gay Brunch, and I'm sad that because he just announced the one in the UK, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to miss my first one.
No, let's figure it out. I sent him a tweet. I said, hey, Effie, I fit really good in an overhead bin. So maybe we can both squeeze on up in there and just go on over to the UK, grab a spot tea and beat somebody up for a minute. Like, that'd be fun.
But those shows are so much fun. They're some of my favorite shows that I go to. I love seeing people that maybe don't get as much of the recognition to get it on those shows. I love that I'm introduced to new people. I love that I get to see old favorites of mine. Like, those shows are so much fun. If people out there in the world, if you've never been to an Effie's Big Gay Brunch, like, do try and attend. They're a true delight. The first one I went to was in 2020 at the Collective, and that was like my first like pride thing after like coming out as pansexual, and
Yes.
I cried. It was cheesy. I cried.
I absolutely love that. Like, so it's just such a like wild energy being there, because it's so different when you're just in a room with people who, one, you already have like some sort of camaraderie and commonality with. And then everyone that's in that crowd at every single brunch that I've been to and been in the ring for is just there to have fun and show the talent so much respect. Like, it's just such a different atmosphere than every other wrestling show. And I love it. And I think the coolest thing for me coming out of this past gay brunch was just talking to my husband about it, because he was in the crowd. And he was like, that was like my favorite thing I've ever been to. And I was like, well, tell me more. And it basically boiled down to the fact that, you know, he was in a crowd where he was 100% comfortable and didn't really like go, who's sitting around me? Who's saying things? Do I have to look out for myself? Because normally he's seeing me in like, you know, Vietnam veteran halls and like bingo halls and things like that, where we're out in the middle of nowhere in a cornfield, and you don't really want to go talk to the big trucker who looks scary over in the corner, because you're like, I don't know what this person thinks of me. But walking into such an inclusive environment, like, I just got to see him kind of let loose and hang out with my friends and watch the show. And like, I think that honestly meant probably more to me than almost anything, just seeing him get to have a really good time and relax and actually enjoy a wrestling show.
Aw, I love that. As far as the differences between like locker rooms, like the Big Gay Brunch versus like regular wrestling shows, is there, I know that you kind of mentioned that it's, you know, you have that like more of like a camaraderie, but is there any other like major differences between what it's like to do a show like that, or like if you've done other like like LGBTQ themed shows
Yeah.
versus like a normal wrestling show?
Yeah, I've done quite a few LGBT like centric shows. And the thing that I love about it going into it is it's always like a big family reunion, or I guess that's the best way to describe it, because we all follow each other online. Like we all interact. Like there's not really anyone who's like in the community pretty much interacts with each other, and we all know who each other are. And walking into that locker room and just saying, hello, oh my God, it's finally so nice to meet you in person, but you still already know who this person is. And you can't really beat that. It's just like walking into a nice little place with all of your friends.
Aw, I love that. Like, I love hearing about like the good and the positive things that come out of wrestling, because sometimes you hear about the negative things and it kind of drags you down. And I love being able to help put out those like positive vibes and positive stories for people who maybe sometimes get down about the business or whatever when bad things can come out.
Bad things in wrestling? No
Surely
way.
not.
There's nothing problematic in wrestling. That's okay. We won't dive into that.
I mean, I know you said you don't have a stop time, but Lord, like,
we're gonna stop right there. That's the end of the interview.
you know what? Moving right along, I'm gonna go ahead and shift gears just a little bit. What was a young Joey Mayberry like?
Oh my God, I don't even think you would recognize me. Okay, how young you want me to go?
Whatever you want to tell me about.
Okay, let's start back in 1990 when two 19-year-olds had a baby way too early, and there came Joey. It was really interesting for me kind of growing up, because from a very young age, I was just kind of interested in anything sparkly, anything girly, anything fun. Like I obsessed with Barbie dolls, Spice Girls, Power Rangers, Pokemon, and then in like 2000, I saw Lita and game was over. But those were like my things. And I remember, like, you know how when people say like they have their whole, you know, coming out revelation? I never really figured that part out, because honestly, like I was never really I guess, sexually motivated person ever in life. So that was never something that was like instilled in me, even when that happened. But the thing that hit me the hardest was I remember very clearly the day when I was like 9 or 10, when everything I liked stopped being okay. And like the Barbies went away, like the Spice Girls were gone, like posters weren't allowed in my room, and it was just like, oh, you can't do these things, like boys don't do these things. And my dad was such a stickler, even though like my first 3 concerts my dad took me all to, it was Spice Girls, Britney Spears, and Reba McEntire. Like, come on, Dad, you know what you're doing. Like so my parents were really big on pushing me into sports. Like that was their big thing, because basically, if you're trying to think of who my family is, I am Bobby Hill, my parents are Hank and Peggy, and it's like to a T, like really intense. Like my dad was a high school football star, was really big into it, so naturally he was like, I want you to play football, I want you to do this thing. And I hated it so much. Oh my God. I remember sitting in high school on like the steps outside the locker rooms, and I was just like sobbing, wearing football pads. And this coach, his name was Coach Roach, and he was this big, massive man. And he drives by on a golf cart and just goes, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't want to play football anymore. And he just looks up and goes, well, then quit, and drives off. And I'm like, okay. But like, I stuck with that all the way through my junior year of high school. I finally got to quit my senior year. Coincidentally, the football team won the state championship that year. So like,
you missed out on your state championship ring.
I did. I didn't. Who wears the ring? No, I don't care. I didn't like. Sure, it was cute, but I don't need it.
Acceptable jewelry. What?
Yeah. Oh, but I did get a state ring because I got into wrestling in high school, and I had so much fun with that, and I got 4th in state that year for my senior year. Nice. So, yeah. But I dropped out of football. I was a weird kid. I won 4th in state in wrestling that year, but at the same time wrote my high school's school play. So, like, you could have wrote a Disney Channel original movie about me at that point. But then I went to college, got a theater degree, and after that, I was like, what do I want to do? And so I got an internship with Disney. And once I got an internship down there, I went down and worked for Disney for a little bit. And I was like, what do I want? And I've always been obsessed with wrestling. Like, it's been my life. My heroes, my Mount Rushmore are Jazz, Lita, Trish Stratus, Victoria. Like, give me all of that. I love them to death. And I was like, I want to try this out. I want to try to be what these women were that I emulated. And so I found a wrestling school in Orlando, and I don't want to talk about it because it's a bit problematic. We don't talk about that, Bruno, no more. But just started training, and my first match hit, and I didn't have a gimmick. And I was like, what do I want to be? And I just had this pair of blue jeans, and I threw them on, and I was like, I can just be a Southern boy. And so I told my mom I was doing it, and she sent me this pair of cowboy boots that were American flag all the way up, like to the knee. And so I walk out with this backwards camo hat, blue jeans, these giant American flag boots, drinking a Mountain Dew. And from that point on, I was the redneck white and blue Joey Mayberry, who's all jacked up on Mountain Dew. And that was how I started.
Is there any footage?
Oh, there's plenty. And I faced some pretty notable people. Like, I've had matches online with Santana Garrett, with Lindsay Dorado. I got onto an Evolve pre-show out of nowhere, and it was like my 4th match. And I'm literally, you can find it online. It was me, Zane Riley, and Sweet Thang, Willie Brown, versus Chico Adams, Tim Zabisco, and Rhett Giddings. And it was just a 6-man tag, and I knew nothing going into this match. Like, I knew how to bump, and I knew how to like do a body slam. And they just needed someone and tossed me into this pre-show match. So literally, you watch me go in, I hit like a suplex, and then I get the fuck out the ring. Like, but then from there, I just started getting attention in Florida because I'm, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging about myself, but I'm just charismatic. I'm very loud, and I'm very boisterous, and I'm funny. So people were just like, okay, who's this little redneck kid who drinks Mountain Dew and then hulks up in the corner and starts throwing punches? And like, I got a tiny little taste of what it was like to get a wrestling following all across Florida. Like, I was going all the way from like Jacksonville to Miami, and it was nice. But that's who young Joey Mayberry was. I was just this little kid that grew up worshiping divas, Barbie dolls, and the oh so fancy Reba. And I morphed into this redneck professional wrestler. And that was younger Joey. Nothing. So
You fancied yourself.
Did you say reverse fancy? Because I did.
I was like, yeah, you fancied yourself. Like, you went from nothing to
I can't with that. Oh, I might have been born just plain white trash, but fancy wasn't my name. Yes. Oh my God. How have I not made this connection before? Oh, I am so glad I came on this show today because this is a whole new revelation for me.
You moved uptown, like
stop it. Oh my God. Okay. Do you want to know how hard you just made me laugh? So I have this obnoxious giant Stitch toy that my husband bought me that vibrates on contact for some reason. Like it just shakes. I laughed so hard that it just started vibrating in the corner for no reason.
You just had to be nice to the gentleman and then they'd be nice to you.
Oh my God. I don't know if my heart can take anymore. This is so good. Oh, I have charmed an aristocrat though. That's actually a true story. So
see, you are fancy.
And I will not let anyone down. Come watch me in the ring. Oh my God. There's like this remix of Fancy by, I think it's like Dave Ayude or something like that. It's on Spotify. If you haven't heard it, it's so good. But it's like this dance remix to Fancy. Now I'm like, do I need to make that my entrance song? Possibly. Maybe a little bit.
I would love, I personally would pop for that. I'm from middle of nowhere, raised in like middle of nowhere, South Dakota. I'm old. I grew up on 90s country. I grew up on Reba. Fancy is one of my best friend. It's our, like, her and I, like, one of our, like, songs that we have. And so I love meeting other Fancy fans.
I'm just a Reba fan. Like, no joke. Last Thursday, I was at the Baton Show Lounge here in Chicago for drag karaoke, literally doing a duet of Does He Love You with a drag queen.
Yes.
It was actually pretty good too. I was kind of proud of ourselves, but also I was like 3 vodkas in. So
oh, we're just off the rails already, and I love that. I love that for us.
And that's just me, baby. Welcome to What Is Joey?
Just take the ride.
Yeah. I had a nickel for every man I told that. Okay, what's the next question?
Moving right along. What were some of the best things that you learned while training? The stuff that you still like look to today, the things that you would tell somebody else if they were under your expert tutelage in wrestling?
Yeah, honestly, the thing that I always forgot to do, and I haven't really learned how to do well until pretty much this year, to be honest, was just have fun with it. Like, so many people are so obsessed with, I need to go out there and look like this, or I need to act like this, or I need to make sure this looks good, this looks good. And they get like so in their head about piecing together this match, you forget that you're going out there to have a good time. We're going out there to put a show on for people. Like, you're out there, we're supposed to be the life of the party. And I think what really taught me that was I was doing this whole redneck shtick. And like at one point I was coming out in Florida with like a giant cowboy hat, like that SpongeBob drinky hat, but it had like Mountain Dews on it. And I was just like chugging it. And I was just trying so desperately to be this character. So when I got up to Chicago and I just kind of started trying to figure out who Joey was as a wrestler again, because, you know, I had gotten onto Ring the Bell, which is a YouTube show where we review women's wrestling. And it had such a big following in the wrestling world that I was like, people know who I am. Like, people walk up and they're like, oh my gosh, I love Ring the Bell all the time. I was like, I can't just be like, oh, I'm this new character walking out. It's like, no, I'm Joey Mayberry. And I had called myself the dad bod demigod on the show just because, honestly, I just randomly thought of it one day and I was like, this sounds funny. So I just started saying it. But it had like no purpose to what it was. It was just, you know, something catchy that rhymed. So when I actually brought that into the ring, I actually started to be like, what is this? Who am I? What do I need to develop? And I kind of caught myself slipping back into that same kind of mindset, or not even mindset. It's kind of BS, to be honest, of I need to do this and make sure the crowd see this and everything I need to do. And I was like, no, for lack of a better term, fuck it. And I was like, what do I have fun doing? Who are my favorite people? And so I went out to every thrift store, every single drag store, every costume shop that I could possibly find in Chicago. Like, I did at least 3 weeks of shopping almost regularly, just going and seeing what I could find that like spoke to me to figure out what I'm supposed to be. And I wound up finding like these pleather tights, and they were like sequined. And I was like, I'm feeling this. This is like a vibe. And I was like, I remember talking to Mateo Valentine and Coda Holiday, actually, and asking like, what do you think of these? Do you think people will like it? And it was actually Coda who was like, does it matter what they think? And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess not. And I was just kind of like, okay, if I wear what I want and I just kind of be who I want to be, and I walk out there and say, hey, here's what I look like, here's what I do on a platter, they can't fail with it. And I'm just enjoying my life. And so I walk out and I'm just kind of feeling myself. And as I started to figure that out, that's kind of what grew into this dad bod demigod character, which is essentially just every single thing that I've ever felt insecure about in myself, which is like my femininity, how I present myself, how I carry myself, my body weight, all of that made me feel bad. I was just kind of like, no, this is my acronym. This is who I am. Eat it up. And I walked out there, and that's just what it evolved into. And it's turned wrestling into this thing that I was like, I have to make this perfect performance, into I'm going out there to have fun and interact with that crowd and make my opponent look like $1 million while making me look like $1 million. And it's just started clicking. So I think that's the biggest piece of advice I would offer is take that journey for yourself and stop taking things so seriously. And remember that this is fun. We're literally play fighting in our underwear. We're having a good time. So that's like number one in my book. Like, have a good time. It's all right.
Yeah. You know, be who you are, be who you want to be. And the people that respond and join in are the people that you know want to be there and that will support you.
5,000%. Like, actually make the number bigger. I don't put a number on it. Infinity percent. That is on the money. And, you know, if you walk into a room and 3 people don't like you, the rest of that room does. Don't focus on the negativity, and you hit the nail on the head with everything.
Those 3 people wouldn't like you no matter what you did. Like,
mm-hmm.
So you might as well just attract the right.
Well, depending on what.
That sounded bad. Right. After I said that, I was like, oh no, that came out completely wrong. The right kind of people for you is how I meant that. Not like the right, like.
I knew exactly what you mean. I'm just also such a smart ass.
After I said that, I was like, oh no, like the wave washed over me. I'm like, oh no, that sounded terrible. That is not what I meant at all. Oh, God, please no. I'm going to get canceled for something I didn't even mean. What the fuck? What am I doing? Like, it was just like this wash. I'm like, oh God, that was the worst thing in the world I could have said in that moment.
No, I don't think of all the people in the world that I think could ever get canceled, like you're like bottom of that list. Like I'm just like, you're just such a jolly, nice person. Like how in the world?
I just try to be authentic and positive, and of course there are always things that you can be negative about, right? There's always something where you could be negative, or you could go out of your way to like shit on things or whatever, but like what good does that ever do you? What do you ever get from being a negative person?
And more negativity. That's what you get.
Right? Nothing good can come of that. I save the negativity for me and me only. And I am positive for everybody else.
I need like a I'm Pal Pancakes and I approve this message after that.
If I want to hate on something, I will hate on my own self, and I will do it better than anybody else can. So
yes, I respect
me.
it.
So who has had the most influence on you both in and out of wrestling?
Ooh. In wrestling, if we're talking about like who influenced me to want to do this and who continues, literally those 4 women that I listed off at the top, plus like the likes of Molly Holly, Tori Wilson, Stacy Keibler. Like I can't truly express how much that entire era of women's wrestling really spoke and resonated with me as a person. Like I was addicted to it. Like, oh my God, look, I've got freaking Stacy Keibler and Victoria and Lita sitting right here in front of me. I'm just obsessed. And like, yeah, call me a mark for it, whatever. But I adore it. And it was always kind of strange for me, especially growing up, because you'd always be that kid who's like, oh, I love wrestling. And they'd be like, oh, who's your favorite wrestler? And you look up and go, Lita. And then they look back and go, who? And you're like, oh, you know the girl that like comes out with the Hardy Boys with the thong? And then they're like, oh yeah, she's hot. And I'm like, yeah, but she also does like this cool stuff. And it really like kind of makes you like this almost ostracized wrestling fan when you're in the crowd, which is what made me, gravitate towards other people like that. Like Jake Smith and I do a show called Golden Era Podcast, where we literally go week by week and just talk about our childhood and what we watched in wrestling, which was women's wrestling from WWE in 2001 forward. And it's so much fun to like talk with him and realize that we have these same shared experiences, because he was like, I was the only person in the crowd cheering for the divas at the time. Like, also, if you watch the WrestleMania, I think it's WrestleMania 20, you can see little Jake standing up with a sign that just says, I'm here for Stacy and Miss Jackie, or something like that. And it makes me so happy just to know that, people like me existed. And I can't really begin to say how much they've influenced my work in the ring and what I like to do in the ring. But as far as like influencing me to do this and really wanting to go for it, I'd honestly just say my grandma. Like my grandma, her name is Geraldine. She's the sweetest little woman that you've ever met in your entire life. Just don't piss her off. But she's always just kind of been so for everything that I'm doing in a way that didn't really resonate with me and with like other family members, because my parents would kind of push me towards more like the sports kind of thing and push me into these things and stuff that they wanted me to do. Whereas to this day, I'll call her and talk to her on the phone and she's like, well, what did you do in wrestling? And I'm just like, oh, what was the weirdest thing I told her recently? Oh, I was like, oh yeah, I was teaming with Team Babushka and CSW, and we all had color coordinating outfits, which the theme was denim and pink, was what I was told. So I literally took a pair of blue jeans and I cut them into chaps. And then Shelly the Bombshell put like fringe around the bottom of the chaps. And then I had like these swim trunks pretty much underneath that looked like pink Daisy Duke shorts. And this entire denim chapped look was what I walked out in. And I was like, yeah, I walked out. I made some chaps. And my grandma just goes, you made chaps? And I was like, yeah. She goes, and you wore them in front of people? And I just went, yeah, Grandma, I totally did. And then she goes, well, you know what? I'm just proud you know how to sew. Like, so she's always just kind of had my back, and like I don't know how to fully describe how much she pushes me forward, just because she's always given me that freedom to just be myself and do my thing, and has always pushed me to do even more, despite the fact when she finds it kind of strange.
Like, you gonna go for the whole outfit next time? Add a vest?
No, I was wearing a vest. And here's the best part. So it's this denim vest, and then on the back is like all the colors of the rainbow, like striped diagonally. And then the lovely Miss Sky Blue actually bedazzled the entire thing for me. So I'm just a sparkly rainbow denim mess at that point.
You were the rhinestone cowboy.
Oh my goodness, where's my notebook? I need to start writing all of these things down.
You can watch it back.
Oh yeah, this is video. Okay, I'm learning again.
You can watch it back and take notes if you need to.
I just might. I'm gonna keep an eye on my Twitter once this drops. I'm just gonna do a selfie of me watching it on my laptop with my notepad.
Oh, it's so funny to me. I don't know why. I need to see this outfit. Is there photographic evidence?
There's total photographic evidence. It's on my Insta. It's on my Twitter. I don't really have a way to do it right now, I think, without
that's fine. I can
stream.
I can totally go look that up later, just knowing that it's there. Unfortunately, because I follow so many people on Twitter, I miss stuff all the time because Twitter likes to show me a bunch of shit from people I don't follow instead of shit from people I do follow.
That part, it drives me crazy because, especially with how busy I've become lately, like I used to be like really on top of it, like especially during the pandemic, like I was watching everything. I was in tune with what people were putting out. Like I watched all the quarantine shows and was able to keep up with people. Then once like we kicked back into high gear, I just haven't been able to see anything. And now that Twitter's doing that thing where all I'm seeing is election results and all this other stuff now. And I'm like, give me my people. Like I miss so much and I want to watch.
There's just too much too much election, too much Elon, and too much WWE on my timeline. And I never see anything I want to see.
My favorite thing. Okay, so I agree with the too much WWE thing because that you have like the WWE Twitter, and then you have like the WWE on Fox Twitter, and then like the WWE BT Twitter, like things like that. It's like they're all saying the same thing.
And then like some of the talent, if you follow like different wrestlers, they all like have like tweets that they tweet the same crap all the time, where it's like you can tell it's like everyone's required to like copy and paste this tweet. And I'm just like, oh, this is my 7th time seeing this, and I didn't care about it the first 6.
It's like I don't care that there are new exclusives cups at 7-Eleven. I just don't.
I don't even live by a 7-Eleven.
Oh my god, I'll trade you with whatever you have. We have nothing but 7-Eleven up here, and I'm so tired of it.
Top 3: Casey's, Quick Trip, Come and Go.
All 3. Excellent. Chef's kiss. They finally downtown opened up a Circle K, and I'm so excited about it.
We don't have Circle K's here, but the QT, the Casey's. If you've never had Casey's pizza, I don't know why you're not doing that.
Oh, I have. I've been on the road.
Right.
I've had some Casey's pizza.
Like, you're kind of in the area. Like I'm sure it's overlapped. Casey's Pizza is clearly the way to go. And yeah, the come and go.
I love that that's what it's called. I'm like, who approved this?
Do you follow the come and go Twitter? Because it is hilarious.
I don't. I'm going to do that now, actually. You know what I do miss, though? Have you ever been to a Wawa?
Oh, never been to a Wawa or a Sheetz.
I went to Sheetz. It was good, but maybe I'm just obsessed with Wawa because it was all over Florida and I just got to like relish in the greatness that is that. But oh my God, they have like real food and like healthy food that you can just grab very quick. I miss Wawa, my shining oasis in the Florida meth lab.
I would love, like, I know, like, I travel enough that I should have been to these, and I never did. Never happened.
Me and you, we're gonna go. I'm coming down. I'm gonna hitch a ride in my car, and then we'll just continue on to Florida. We're not going to Disney World, not going to a beach, just a Wawa. That's it.
Like, it makes me, so like, when my sister lives in Florida, and I'm just like, I should just go visit her, and I'm like, Carla, take me to a Wawa.
Oh my God, please tell me everything. Like, I need a DM
I'll live stream it.
Inbox. Oh my God, if I get Val Pancakes goes to Wawa. Like, come on. Harold and Kumar, who? Give me that.
I see, now I have to watch this back and take notes later.
Yes. See, we're giving each other homework. I love it.
So what would you say has been your greatest achievement in wrestling? And that can be whatever greatest achievement means to you. If it's like a title, or if you had like a series of matches or opponents, like whatever greatest achievement is to you.
Honestly, so far, matches are great and, you know, doing all that is fantastic. But coming back into wrestling after stopping for as long as I did and for the reasons that I did was huge for me, especially coming back as the character. Well, I guess I'm just honestly playing myself, but a tad louder, a little bit more bitchier. But getting to come back and just be what I want to be has been so fulfilling. So long story short, when I was in Florida and I was wrestling, in the summer of 2015, I wound up having about 3 concussions in the period of like 2 months. So like I knocked myself pretty silly for a little bit. And, you know, they weren't like mild. Like one of them, like I just took a spike DDT like right into a gym floor. Like I was out. So I had to take a break for like 3 months. So I was like, I've got to get my head on straight. I've already been in the hospital and I can't even pay my medical debt because I'm really just working at a theme park and then taking most of those days off to go to wrestle in random places in Florida. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give myself
making tens of dollars each show, I'm sure.
If I was lucky, some of them, I got really lucky in getting like paydays because I don't know of how the scene is in Florida anymore, but for the places that I was working, I was typically getting nothing. And then when I came and got back into everything up here in Chicago, people were like, yeah, if you go to a show, make sure you get paid. I was kind of like floored. I was like, is this how we do it up here? Is this how things work? Okay, this is new. But yeah, so basically when I took those few months out, I came back and I found out that a few people had outed me to pretty much the entire Florida scene. And that, for lack of a better term, scared the shit out of me. Because I hadn't told my family. I hadn't even, you know, really told many of my friends. Like they had to be very close. And like at the most, at the time I was like telling people that I was like bi. And I was dating a girl at one point during that past summer, which I love her to death. She was so sweet. It didn't work out for reasons. It didn't work out. But literally I came back and found that out, and it, I don't even know how to describe the feeling, because I was just like, oh my God, like so many of these people that now know are on my Facebook, you know, back when everybody was doing everything on Facebook. And like they comment, and my parents are on there, my aunts are on there, like everybody that I know is looking at this. And some of them, like one of the guys that had my dad's phone number. So I was like, this is hitting really close to home, and I'm not ready for it, because you know, I don't want to like speak ill about family or anything like that, but I grew up, and my dad was very vocal to me about the fact that he just did not like gay people. Like he was, it's for lack of a better term, the opposite of subtle. And so I really didn't know how to handle it. And so I just kind of backed away from wrestling and was like, okay, I don't really know what to do. Who's going to even want to book me? Because at that time, it still felt like something that was so taboo. And that, especially in, you know, the sticks of Florida, no one really would want to bring me in. And I was in that mindset. And so from there, I went and got convinced by my good friend Kim Artlip, who's the owner of Ignite Wrestling down in Port St. Lucie, Florida. She was like, hey, you've been doing like some backstage promo work for us. Like I remember I would go and do like some little interviews for her while I was hurt. And she goes, but I loved you and I really want you back in the ring. Can you please come and do a match for me? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, but I want to just team with my friend. So I was teaming with my friend Gabe. And we were going up against Josh Hess and someone else. I can't remember what the match was, but I remember 100%. I walk out, my old theme music, still in the redneck gear, bell rings, Gabe's in the ring wrestling, I'm on the apron, and then all of a sudden there's a Joey's a F slur chant that breaks out in the crowd. And it was loud, like enough that I turned and I was just like looking, and like they stopped kind of what they were doing in the ring and looked at me, and I'm just like, literally, I don't even know how to describe that feeling, because
I can't even.
Like, what do you do? Like you're just there.
Yeah.
And so I finished the match. I went over, and you know, I'm still getting my hand raised. And after that, like I know there were people that were like cheering because it was a really decent match, but none of it everything felt like shattered, and everything just felt like I can't even do this anymore, because I just got to figure my own life out. Like I got to get and talk to my family and do this stuff. I can't focus on this until I take care of Joey. And so I ultimately just like, I'll figure this out later. Let me go and figure my life out. And then that summer was, you know, the summer after I had just met my now husband. And so we were like trying to figure stuff out. And I was working at Universal at the time. And I was like, I'm just going to move to Chicago. I don't really want to be around this scene. I don't really want to be around, you know, I have tons of friends down there who I still love and are near and dear to my heart, but I'm just like, I can't be around this scene anymore. And I just want to get away from it. So moved up to Chicago. And that's when I ultimately got involved with Ring the Bell. And if you don't know Ring the Bell, they're on YouTube. It's a huge women's wrestling community, but it's also such a safe haven place for LGBTQ wrestling fans, because so many of us were like enthralled with old school divas and women's wrestling and things like that. So the more I got involved being a host on that show, the more it made me fall in love with wrestling again, because I met people who were just like into what I was into, and were in, like, you know, they were like me. Everybody felt like a family. And that's when you start getting like the little like little itches, and I'm like, I think I want to try doing this again. I think I want to dip my toes in. And I was like kind of like trying to get a cat to come out of a small space, like putting treats for myself, like leading it there. And so eventually I was like, okay, cool. And I did like some small little lucha shows with Paloma Star. And we had like a great match that's on YouTube. It's on Ring the Bell's channel. And I was like, I gotta do this. Like, I gotta figure this out. And then as soon as I was like, I want to do this, whole world shut down. like I had literally went to Chicago Style Wrestling's training academy to get my feet back under me because I wanted to try it. And like a month later, whole world goes. So once, you know, the world started feeling safe again, I started, you know, to get back into the ring and really develop that. And it's taught me to really not only love wrestling again, but this shit taught me to love myself again. Like, in the, you know, cheesiest, hallmarkiest way I can say it, it showed me that I can do this, be my 100% true self, and just enjoy this again. And I've been on like the ride of my life because, you know, before I had some good opportunities, but like this month alone, I'm wrestling more matches in November this month than I have for any other month of my career. I'm going to 3 different states. Next month, I'm going back to Florida. I've been on Fight TV twice this year. Like, what's going on? I'm just this kid who thought I would never be able to do this. And now I'm just doing it. And it's so damn cool. And that's my biggest accomplishment was I'm here, I'm present, and I'm living my life. And I can't ask for anything more.
So usually, and I'm going to still ask it in case there's something else, but I feel like you kind of already answered this question.
Oh, cool.
Of what is the greatest obstacle that you've overcome in wrestling? And it sounds like that like transition period out of Florida maybe was
Yeah,
the answer
honestly,
to that question.
Literally 500%. Like, I've never, it's wild because that was so dark for me, and it was such a bad time of my life. And, you know, like I remembered just crying because like my parents weren't very happy once I finally did come out. And the same year that happened, the Pulse shooting happened, which was literally like the first gay bar I ever went to, and it became my home away from home. And it seemed like everything was kind of just shattering around me in like 2016, like right before I decided to move up here. And getting here and kind of struggling through that and then getting to where I am now, like, you can't beat that shit. You can't beat the feeling that I'm on right now. Like, I'm riding my high, and I'm not even high on anything. Maybe a little bit blue, but just no, that's a lie. It's just a joke. But it's so cool.
Like, I love that you were able to take some time away and come back in a better place where things are much different now than they were even 5 years ago.
It's so wild to me. Because there were so many people that, you know, that I knew that have just really stepped out. Like, I was really close a little bit with Pero whenever I was living in Orlando. And when his story broke about him coming out, I remember being like, oh no, that's gotta be, you know, terrifying. But it was celebrated. And just to see that was like a huge moment for me, because I saw someone else, you know, get really good feedback from just being themselves. And I was like, that's so wild. You know, I was very happy for him. And then slowly but surely, like, other little things just kept popping up. Like, you'd have different people that were just kind of like, you know, poking their heads out of the woodwork and really making these high impacts. And then to think that there's like whole LGBTQ dedicated shows now, and not just like a rarity, because I know like way back for a little while there's like a Matter of Pride kind of things that, you know, were still kind of felt like undergroundy. But now it's the forefront. Like, we're out there just killing it. And that's happened in less than 10 years. That's so wild to me.
To go from nobody's going to know, and if someone finds out, my career's over, and the best representation I have is whatever, like, dumb, was it Chuck and whatever storyline that WWE did that was just the worst. The absolute worst. Do you love that storyline?
No. But I vividly remember watching the Billy and Chuck wedding segment. And I remember because I had to be like 11 or 12 at the time. And like, I was still kind of like figuring things out because I knew I really wasn't like, I just pretty much knew I wasn't truly into girls, and I was really interested in what gay was. Like, I remember like being obsessed with the word gay. Because I was like, I learned that it just gave me like weird feelings. And so I remember watching that segment on my parent in the living room with my parents, sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor like I typically do all my life. And we had one of those giant, like 8-foot tall, like giant, like building block sized big screen TVs from like back in the day. And I remember just watching this with them, which, knowing who my father is, was very surprised that we did watch this segment, to be honest. But I remember trying not to look interested, like very, very hard, trying not to look like I cared about what was going on, but at the same time being like, is this really gonna happen? Like, I was just so...
You were so emotionally invested.
I was, because I just, because you're in a period, especially when you're that age, of true like self-discovery, because you're just kind of growing into being a teenager, and just kind of, at least for me, I was figuring myself out. So to see that and be able to, like, I remember using the DirecTV search function after I heard about it to like search gay, and all I got was a bunch of movies that featured Marcia Gay Harden, and being very upset. But yeah, it was trash, garbage kind of storytelling, but it was something that did speak to me as a kid, because I was very interested. It taught me a lot.
I wonder if other people have had like that similar, like, this was my first exposure to
gay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. They have. People have told me that, especially, so we do Golden Era, and since we try to sneak like little things in there, especially because a large majority of our listeners are LGBTQ. Actually, not many other letters. It's mainly just the G. We have a lot of gay men who listen. But they
nothing but a G thing.
It pretty much is. Like, we welcome everyone, but we do have the gays there. Like, they're here. And so I've had a lot of people, especially when we talked about it, because we were able to technically talk about it because Stephanie McMahon was there. So getting to like discuss that on the show, we had so many messages of people being like, yeah, this is the first time we heard about things. This is one of the most intriguing things for me as a kid. And it's kind of wild to learn how many shared experiences you have with other people just because of what you're into and who you love.
And wrestling.
And wrestling. Let's not forget wrestling.
Surely cannot. So if you had an action figure of yourself, and it was one of the action figures that could speak, what phrases would you want it to say? And what accessories would it come with?
Oh my God, I totally have an action figure of myself. Do you want me to go get it?
Yes.
Give me 1 second. It's up on my like memento shelves. So I'll be right back.
Absolutely. Worth pausing for. I just want to take this time to thank everybody for watching and listening. Do go check out Wrestling Over Everything, sponsoring the show tonight, as well as Table Bump merch. As we wait for Joey to get back with his action figure.
Okay, I'm back.
Yay.
From outer space, and now my microphone is tangled up all over the place. All right. So this was made by Quinn of the Ring, one of the most crazy talented people I know, but they made a little Joey figure.
Aww.
And it's so cool. It's got like my pants that I wear that are all like bedazzled. Like this is actually based off the ring gear that I wore for our beauty supply match, which was me and Mateo Valentine beating the holy hell out of each other with beauty supplies at Chicago Style Wrestling. It's on YouTube if you want to check it out.
I do want to check that out.
It's a lot of fun. There's some wax paper that we use in that match. There's I stuck lip gloss into his eye. That was a fun one. But like he's full on gear, and I think my favorite thing about it is it's literally a repainted Rob Gronkowski figure. And it looks so good, and it also makes me realize I kind of look like Rob Gronkowski, and I think he's attractive, so that works for me.
Fair enough.
But I also grabbed another little thing. Do you want to see something wild?
Yes.
So back in the day in Florida, a fan made a Funko Pop of Redneck Joey. That's custom. So I've actually got two little figures of me and his very orange arms.
Aww.
It's so cool. Like it's just things like this are like the coolest things in the world to me because I'm literally action figure obsessed and toy obsessed, if you can't tell by my little office room here. Like this is literally my office. I sit on the floor, crisscross applesauce, and I'm surrounded by toys. So when people do that for me, it's like the most special thing because I'm obsessed. It's something that I'm obsessed with. And then you took so much time out of your day or a couple of days to make this little like custom figure of me. And I can't even fathom like that someone would ever want to do that in their entire life. I'm like, what's wrong with you? But I'm also like so grateful. So like, oh, you said I wasn't going to cry on here, and now I feel like crying. But this is, I don't know.
Okay.
Just the fact that someone like decided to do something that special just because they enjoyed the shows that I was putting on is amazing to me. I can't even put that into words. But now to answer your question, I'll go back. If I came with accessories, I would definitely come with a coat, which they nailed on this one. Because I have this big, giant, pink, puffy jacket that I'll wear to the ring sometimes. And I love that for this one, they just dyed a Liv Morgan robe and put it on Rob Gronkowski, which makes me real happy. But the accessories that I would come with, definitely a big pair of like sparkle shades. I love them. So anything kind of funky, crazy, and the sparklier and bigger, the better. Like Elton John, eat your heart out glasses. And then honestly, what I would want is not an accessory. So at Chicago Style Wrestling and at Gay Brunch, you got to see her. I have my manager, Jillian, who is one of my favorite people in the world. She is my personal paparazzi, aka Joey's Pee-Pee. And she makes sure that all of my socials are updated, that TikTok is streaming live while I'm wrestling, and also she's not afraid to get in the ring and just slap some people or like guillotine them on the ropes. And that's also a wild story how she got involved with this, because she's like my best friend in the world, and it's so cool that she comes out to the ring with me.
Aww.
Would you like the story of how I acquired a Jillian?
Yes.
So literally, I was wrestling in the Chicago style wrestling battle royal, which is what they have you do whenever you're kind of new coming in. They're just like, jump in the battle royal. And I was like, just walking, and her boyfriend is actually filming the show. He's hard cam for it. And me and her have been friends now for like maybe a month or two. And I was like, hey, I have an idea. Do you want to do it? And she was like, what? And I was like, what if you just walk to ringside with me and like go live on TikTok or Instagram and just record at ringside? And you can be like my own little like paparazzi. And she was like, let me go ask Derek, which is her boyfriend. I was like, okay, cool. And so she comes back, she's like, yeah, he says it'd be like cool. And I was like, okay, I go talk to the promoter. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. You're in the battle royal. Have whoever come out with you. It's just
who cares? You're going to be the battle royal.
That part, which she came out, and the stuff that she's able to capture, just like my facial expressions and like little side notes. And like, she's also talking on the camera while I'm wrestling. So like, she's adding in her like own commentary. Like, one of my favorite things absolutely ever is there's one scene. Wow. There's one little segment at the end of a match in Chicago style where I literally get a nice big boot and I take the 1, 2, 3, and the camera pans over to her in the corner just holding her phone, and she just goes, well, shit. And it's the best thing.
Aww.
But it literally was just like, hey, I would like my friend to come to the ring with me and do this. And now she's a full-fledged character in the show. And we're just like traveling the world together or the nation right now. The world's coming soon.
Always on the horizon, right?
Yes.
So for your action figure, what phrases would you want it to say?
Oh, I forgot about that because I talk so damn much.
See, I knew we would have to circle back. That's fine.
Okay. So definitely it would have to say exactly what I say when I walk through every curtain, which is just a big guttural yes. And it's like, it's not even me like saying it. It's just literally me feeling myself. Because when I walk through that curtain, I don't know what comes over my body, but as soon as the music hits, I'm just like, okay, I'm in dad bod demigod mode. And I walk out of the curtain, and that guttural yes is just me like, I feel gorgeous. I feel right. I feel good. So that's definitely one. My little catchphrase I've been using is, you love to see it, which is great. And then I just need one solid, good bitch. That's all I want.
I feel like that would be like a really good action figure in so much as like people would want it because of those phrases. Like those are very like good, like well thought out, like fun catchphrases.
Thank you. I mean, they're just simple things that I say in day-to-day life sometimes. But now I'm just realizing, have you seen those videos on TikTok of the dog who presses the buttons with his feet and says things?
No.
Please go look that up. But there's like this dog who will just like press buttons, and the trainer's like trained it to press different things for different like reactions. But they say things like, yes, bitch, yes. And so so my favorite's like the ones where the dog's like hungry and they're like, do you want some food? It's like, yes, bitch.
I mean, who amongst us really?
Oh, that's me every day. Just ask my husband. I'm so mad when I'm hungry.
Like I get hangry. Like,
And
like I'm a fat bitch. Like I'm gonna eat.
Me too. Oh, I gotta tell you, I was such a gross human before I hopped on here because I literally ran in the door from my day job and was like, oh, I gotta get ready. And I was trying to get my ring light to work, which didn't because it was so dark. And I was like, oh my God, I've got like 2 seconds. And so I literally run in and I'm just eating a cold slice of Little Caesars pizza from my fridge, like running around my house. So I'm like in a chipper mood to come and talk on here.
Oh, I mean, you could have said something. I could have been like, I can give you like an extra 10, 15 minutes if you need to.
No, if I'm not running on like at least 50% caffeine and 75% stress, it doesn't add up to 100, but who the fuck cares? That's just me as a person.
I'm not good at math.
Me either. Actually, that's a solid truth. I'm real bad at it.
Oh, I wrote a speech about how bad I am at it.
Read it now.
Oh, Jesus, I don't have it. But that was many years ago when I was in college.
I need to hear it read and dictated.
Long story short, I just went through my entirety of my schooling career and just detailed all of my math failings. Like, I was the last kid in my class to learn to count to 100 in kindergarten. Like, I've never been good with numbers. My budget?
Hold on, don't even talk. Like, I have to. Okay, so there. Full disclosure: there's a ton of action figures in front of me. I'm a huge collector.
Like fistfuls.
Quite literally, I was rearranging my shelves, so this is only like a quarter. Like, there's drawers in front of me. I've got a problem. I've got a big problem.
I mean, I don't think it's a problem. Enjoy yourself. Life is too short. Can't take it with you. Enjoy it while you can, because tomorrow's not promised and maybe you won't. And then what?
I call that Regina Georging, because you could get hit by a bus at any time. That's what I tell people.
Right?
Yep.
10-10 agree. I could die on my way to work tomorrow. Wow, I'm sure glad I didn't buy that thing I wanted. Like, you know.
This took a morbid turn, but also a good like positivity turn. It's like, go spend your money, live your best life, treat yourself.
That's why I started going to wrestling as much as I have and traveling. Like, man, pandemic really taught me something. That's tomorrow really isn't promised. So
that
might as well do what you can while you can, because shit, you don't know when you will have to stop.
Everything you say, I'm just such a fan of. I adore you so much.
Oh, because I'm reckless.
I love it. You even got like the rebel like tongue from me there. It's like, you're reckless.
Like, I don't know. I've traveled more in the past 2 years than I had in the past 20 in my life. So, like,
same. It's wild where wrestling takes you. Like, never before in my life did I think that I'd be like called out to wrestle in Vegas. Like, I just didn't. Or down in Houston or San Antonio or Florida. Like, it's wild. Like, people want me and I love it.
Aww. Everybody should want you. You are a delight.
Don't butter me up. I look too much like a biscuit already. Like,
what good is a biscuit without a lot of butter, though?
Can I take that phrase and put it in my back pocket for a t-shirt? Because I kind of need it now.
I will expect royalties. No, I'm kidding.
You will get royalties and a shirt.
No, feel free. That's the joy of the podcast.
Yeah.
So what wrestling word do you use most outside of wrestling?
Ooh, this is hard. I use a lot. I'm like, which one do I use the most? Actually, probably shoot. Like, literally, I'll say that on about anything that's actual. Like, I've caught myself doing like, oh, someone took my fruit cup out of the face. Like, oh, that's a shoot. Like, I don't know. I'm just real dumb.
I use that like instead of saying like, oh, are you for real? I'm like, oh, is that a shoot?
I've done that. I'm more Okay, so I'm really bad about if I pick up on something and I'm in a different environment, so it works really well with wrestling terms. I use the words incorrectly because I'm just a weird person. Like I'll just sneak in things that don't really belong there just because I can say it and it makes me sound weird. I don't know.
Throws people off. I don't know. I'm a big believer in doing things to make myself laugh. I don't care if it makes anybody else laugh. If it makes me laugh, then it was worth doing. Like the amount of dumb things I do just to pop myself, like
I'm just like I am all oh my god, we're gonna be best friends. So like this is what I live for. Like pretty much what I speak in as a person is like SpongeBob quotes and nonsense. And that's who I am. I remember like my husband, I made some sort of random reference and I'm sitting there cackling. And he's like, where'd you pull that from? And I like was able to tell him what episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers I remembered it from. I'm just like cackling back and forth.
Yep, I speak very fluent quotes from things. So even if other people don't get it, like I know that it is. Like if anybody like tries to get me to do anything, where I would have to be like tough, I'm like, I'm a Weenie Hut Junior. Like I don't think so.
Yes. I love that one. My biggest thing that I think I quote to a T almost daily is dishonor. Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor.
I quote a lot of I don't know if you ever watched it's a sketch comedy show on Fuse called Whitest Kids You Know.
Oh my god, gallon of PCP. Please say that.
Me and my bestie quote Whitest Kids at each other all the time.
What's your Whitest Kids quote? Now I have to know.
Oh, either like the Abraham Lincoln one where he's like, "Ah, you fucked up."
Fucked up. That's mine. Oh my god. Now you're fucked up. Now you're fucked up. You have fucked up now.
Or I'm not finished, and he just keeps drawing.
Oh my god, I needed that. I'm so happy that's the first one that came into your brain. Oh, like that sketch and Gallon of PCP were like my two favorite sketch comedy like bits for so long.
That and the the one I know the name of the sketch is Pimp Pun Disaster.
Oh my god, please come back up to Chicago. We have to hang out. We're just gonna watch some Whitest Kids You Know and just laugh. I need this in my life. Do you find it that like if you start mentioning that show to other people, like no one seems to know what it is?
Right? Yeah, I was like, that's when I mentioned to you, I was like, oh Lord, this is gonna be like a whole thing where he's gonna I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. But no, like I love the Whitest Kids, especially the first season was so funny. The subsequent seasons, like 2, 3, and 4, have funny bits and pieces, but I think that first season is just gold. I will say my favorite sketch from season 2 is the Grapist.
I'm gonna grape you in the mouth. That's not the slogan we want to use.
It's for grape soda, like. And then the season, I think it's season 3, where they have like the ants, where like the people just start shuffling themselves away from situations. I used to use that at work all the time. I was like, oh, the ants are taking me to the copy room.
Do you randomly like start singing New Daddy in your head ever? Because I do that all the time.
Oh, Getting High with Dinosaurs.
Getting High with Dinosaurs. Oh my god, we don't need to talk about wrestling anymore. This is now Whitest Kids You Know. it actually fits because, like, look at me. Look at me.
Hard same. Real pasty. But, like, I was very fortunate, very, very fortunate back in the day. They actually performed here, and me and my friend went.
Oh my goodness.
Zach wasn't there, but Trevor, Darren, Timmy, and Sam were. And then we got to meet them afterwards. I was so excited.
I am so jealous of your life.
So there's a picture of me with 4 of the whitest kids.
Yes. Oh my God, I am so jealous you got to see that. I would love to have seen that show.
And then I guess, like, to just cap this off, it's like, just after having all that hilarity and just to cap it off with some sadness, when I found out that Trevor Moore had passed, like, that celebrity death probably hit me the hardest out of any at this point, because he's somebody that I met and I had talked to, and he was nice to me. Like,
yeah, it's so wild. Like, recently Aaron Carter got me pretty bad. These are all, like, so sad. Okay, I won't talk about death no more. It's so sad.
No, moving right along. So when you travel for wrestling, because there's a lot of traveling involved in wrestling, what are you listening to when you travel? Like, what is your, like, music do you listen to, or podcasts you listen to? Like, what are you listening to?
So I'm with my podcast. I don't fully listen, I think, to podcasts. I go more towards, like, YouTube shows. So I'll, like, have them play, which I guess is a podcast, but at the same time it's not. So I don't know what to call it. But I love, like, theme park updates. Like, I love, like, Theme Park Insider. Oh my God, why am I, like, blanking on, like, all these things that I listen to? All that Yesterworld that talks about, like, the history of, like, theme parks. Because when I grew up, I wanted to be an Imagineer. I thought that was, like, the coolest job ever. And so, like, I remember I wrote out, like, an entire, like, Walt Disney World planning journal thing in my room. And then I designed, like, an Aladdin roller coaster, and I built, like, this model. And this is when I was, like, 15, and I just thought, I'm going to be a Disney Imagineer, which is why when I got out of college, I was like, well, maybe I'll just go work for Disney and figure out what I'm doing with my life, because I just spent 4 years drinking. That is usually playing if I'm doing a podcast. If it's music, buckle up, buckaroos, because I listen to literally anything. Like, as long as I can, like, kind of dance to it or kind of move my body, I'm down. So, like, I don't get too much into, like, metal just because, like, it doesn't resonate with me. But other than that, anything's like, fair game. Like, so I have a playlist on my Spotify. It's called Every Song I've Ever Liked, and right now it's got, like, upwards of almost 6,000 songs on it, and I just hit shuffle. And if you cannot handle going from Hannah Montana to Katy Perry to 16th None the Richer to Hootie and the Blowfish to Reba McEntire to Rob Zombie to Garth Brooks to Kenny Chesney back to a Disney song medley, you cannot get in my car. Like,
I have a Spotify playlist. It is called Top Jams. And that is, it's specifically for when I'm driving, because it's all upbeat songs that won't make me, like, want to fall asleep. But it's, like, sing-along songs, like, upbeat, and it is 82 hours long. And that's what I do. I just put that bad boy on shuffle and go, because when you're driving, man, like, I don't want anything that's gonna make me fall asleep, but
I'm I'm that way too. If I'm having to drive somewhere, though, I'm notorious. If I have to travel, I want a buddy. Like, I don't want to do it by myself. So whether or not it's, hey, I'm going to do this show, you want to hop in the car and see if you can get on it, or do you want to talk to the promoter, or do you just want to come with me? Or I just, like, rope one of my friends into it. I'm like, oh, I'm wrestling in Iowa, you want to hop in my car? Like, but I'm really, like, I love road trip buddies.
I want to hop in the car with you.
Let's do it. Oh my God, can we please just, like, live stream the whole way? would have sing like every song known to man.
Like, you would be so much fun to road trip with. I travel a lot by myself, so.
Oh no, come on up. We'll drive. Tell me where you're going next.
I'm going this weekend to Chattanooga, but beyond that, I don't have anything planned.
Oh, I want to go to Chattanooga. I actually, okay.
I'm flying, so.
Ooh, lucky.
If it's more than like 8 hours, like, I'm flying.
That's fair, but that Midwestern mindset of, well, it's only 14 hours. Let's do a drive. Like,
if I was with somebody, I probably would, but I don't want to drive that by myself, especially because, like, you never know. People are weird.
This past June for a show, it was me, Mateo Valentine, and Greg Murray, who hopped in a car, drove all the way from Chicago to San Antonio, Texas, and back. And that was a trip. That was a long one.
Oof. That sounds long.
It was. I just remember sitting there at all road trips are the same pretty much. So like, you get there, you're good to go. But then when you're driving back home, that last hour is the most agonizing hour of driving you'll ever have in your entire life.
10 agree. Oh my God. It's like, I've already had all of my fun. I don't even want to go home. But since I have to, let's just fucking get there. But no, it's going to take forever.
Oh my God. And of course, like, we were headed to Chicago. So you hit traffic and it's like, ah!
Oh, yeah, love it. Feel it. What would you say would be the most surprising song on your playlist? Someone would look and be like, oh, do you have that on your playlist?
Oh. I think once you get to know me as a person, like, no one's surprised by anything that's on my playlist. But if you were like a person that just knew me from wrestling or like knew my character, I listened to a lot of like what I call early 2000s, like just rock, almost metal. I don't even know what the genre is, but like MSI, Rob Zombie, Papa Roach, like all of those like really butch kid bands. Like, these are the WWE pay-per-view songs type deal. All of that is on my playlist and I adore them.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, like if you need to know any of the words to the songs on the first Saliva album, I got you. I know them by heart.
I mean, that's a very niche market. I hope that works out for you someday, or that's something that you will need to know and you will have that information in your back pocket.
I just can't imagine somebody's like, oh, we're going to blow up this boat full of puppies unless you can sing all the lyrics to Click, Click, Boom by Saliva.
I was specifically designed for this task. Like,
they weren't prepared for the dad bod demigod to be there that day.
Plans were foiled again.
I'm coming down to the new style, and you know it's buck wild.
That's like the worst, like, Power Rangers villain. Just like,
oh, pumpkin rapper. Say hi. I got him. Yep, obsessed.
So I'm a fat girl. I'm a Snackosaurus Rex. I love snacks. Snacks are the best. What are your go-to like road snacks?
Oh, I'm the dad bod demigod for a reason. I love to eat. Like, I remember it was me and Vic Capri, like, almost 2 months ago. He was like, you're toning up. You're looking buff. I was like, yeah, that's just what I do. I work out a lot. And I don't diet. I just don't. I eat. But my go-to road trip snack, if I'm going somewhere, I always get 2 Monsters and a giant bottle of water. That's like my necessities. So like that gets me through the trip. But then my guilty pleasure foods is first for drink, I freaking adore Diet Mountain Dew. Like that is the nectar of the gods for me. I will.
Okay, it's weird that you said it because my dad has said that exact same phrase about Diet Mountain Dew.
It's the truth. Your dad is.
I hate that shit, but my dad has actually specifically stated Diet Mountain Dew is the nectar of the gods.
Like, it is to me. I love it. Like, you give me other Mountain Dew, which I recently tried that new like fruitcake flavored Mountain Dew.
How was that?
Not bad. To me, it all kind of tastes like just Mountain Dew with like a Kool-Aid packet in it. But it wasn't awful. Like, some of the ones that I've tried, not too great. But Diet Mountain Dew, like, literally pour a gallon in me. Got a gallon. Like, I'd be so down. But then as far as snacks, I love combos. Combos are like my go-to road snack. So like, give me buffalo, is it like buffalo ranch flavored combos, the little pretzel things? Yum, yum, yum. Then I'll take, I love beef jerky, specifically teriyaki or peppered. What else do I usually get? I'm obsessed with, like, I try to be healthy, even though it's not actually healthy, but I love me some Lenny and Larry's protein cookies. I think they're like my little treat for myself. Because I'm not much of a sweet person, like, overall. Like, sometimes I'll get in the mood for candy, but I'm like always in the mood for a cookie. Like, cookies are my sweets. So like, that's a big one. And then maybe like spicy nuts, some spicy cashews. Those are all my like road snacks I'll load up with.
Nice. Yeah. I am very much a sweets gal. Like, oh my God, if it has sugar in it, I want it. So
you and my husband will get along in that aspect.
But I do love a good teriyaki beef jerky. So
I love a good teriyaki beef jerky, especially when you get it fresh and it's still like chewy and tender and it's not like been sitting on the shelf for a while.
Yeah, when it's not like crunchy yet, like,
yeah, you're just like, oh, and my molar's about to come loose. That's what's about to happen with this teriyaki.
I have enough problems with my teeth. I need to keep the ones I have it still in my mouth, please and thank you. So
very much that.
So, what is your favorite move to take and what is your favorite move to give?
So, my favorite move to give, honestly, so everybody's probably gonna be like, oh, your finisher. And it's not. Like, I do a wing clipper, but it is officially called the Bussy Buster because I am picking up my people and I am busting their bussy onto the mat. So that's my finisher name. But I did one at Gay Brunch. I adore doing a flying head scissors. I love it because it takes me back to the reason I fell in love with wrestling, which was red hair herself, Miss Lita. And I'm like doing the move and it always gets like such a from the crowd because I'm not a little boy. Like I'm a big boy. So when you see me get up and hit it and I do it pretty well, it always gets that nice like from the crowd. I'm just like, yes, come on, Team Extreme. Like, that's just like I'm marking out for myself in the ring.
Look, all wrestlers mark out for themselves. Most just don't admit it.
Oh, I love to admit it. Like, just, be a dork for yourself. If you can't mark out for yourself, how the hell are you going to mark out for somebody else? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yes. And then favorite move to take. So this is a weird thing to say, but it's hard for me to pick like off the top of my head. I'm having to think because I love getting beat up. I adore it. Just something about it. I'm just like, it makes you feel kind of alive, but also kind of like just badass at the same time. Like, yeah, I did that. Probably my favorite one. I love a good standard. Like, give me a big power bomb. Like, if you just like, especially when I go up against like the monster guys, and so my whole thing with wrestling goes back to typically the crowd. Like, I'm always listening when I'm out there, and that's how I know I'm doing well. So when I go up for a move and someone has me and you just hear that crowd go, oh, I'm just like, come on, hit it, nail me.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Do you have any pre-match rituals?
Typically, yes. I get into my gear really early, usually. So like before the show usually starts, like I'm usually in my gear. Which is dumb because typically I wear bodysuits and I always wind up having to pee. But aside from that, I'll do that and then I'll walk around and I kind of like get to feeling myself because you're essentially becoming this like character. So it kind of, when I get like the suit on, then I'm like, okay, I am the dad bod demigod. Now I got to feel myself. And I'll just like throw some headphones on and just kind of jam for a second. Like I'll usually put on like some Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco mixed with like some girl pop in there. So like just those are like my hype up songs. And I'm just like, I get myself amped. I get myself feeling fabulous. It's not unlike anyone to, if you look outside, I'll usually step outside and you'll just see me like going, ha ha, ha ha, just like striking poses because I'm feeling myself and I'm getting in the zone and then I'll stretch and that's my ritual.
Nice. So as a wrestler that travels and goes to shows, you have to have at least one of these stories, perhaps both. One.
Oh no. I'm so nervous.
No, you're fine. Probably. You're here. So one. Something either like you were on a road trip and something really funny happened or exciting happened or you almost died. Or you are going to a show, you're going to a new company or a new venue, you get there and you go, what the fuck is this? And what did I get myself into? Like some sort of like new wrestling horror story. So I would love to hear one or both of those stories and feel free if you need to censor any names. By all means, I don't want to incriminate anybody. So
no incriminations going on in these stories, but there are some wild ones. So I remember riding back from, I think it was somewhere near, I think, Miami. It was somewhere southern Florida. We were riding back to Orlando and we had just done a show and it was myself, my friend Gabe, I want to say possibly his wife, Lizzie. I can't remember if she was entirely there or not, but we were riding with this new kid who I forget his name, but he had only been like training for like 3 weeks and was like, oh yeah, I'll drive y'all to the show. I want to go down and see it. And then, like they train for another week and then you never see these people again, kind of people. And he was driving and we got out at a gas station and all of a sudden they go inside and it's just me and the new kid and he's like pumping gas and I'm sitting in the back seat. I was just like scrolling through my phone or something and he knocks on the window and I look up and he goes, I need help. And I was like, okay. So I get up out of the car and I'm like, what's going on? He's like, you see that guy over there? And I'm like, which guy? And I look over and there's just this guy that's just standing beside the gas pump, right? And not the gas pump, the gas station. So he's like leaned up against the wall of the gas station. And like he was smoking a cigarette was what it looked like to me, kind of pose. But he's like, yeah, this dude just keeps staring at me and I don't like it. And I was like, okay, well, just like, if he doesn't come over here, baby, just pump your gas and we'll get back in the car. Like, it's no big deal. Like, it's going to be all right. And he's like, I don't like the way this guy's like looking at me. And it's got me feeling, I was like, do you want to hop back in the car and I'll pump some gas? And like, I remember saying like half of that sentence. And he just like turns and looks at this random person and goes, yo, fucker, you got a problem with me? And I was like, where did this energy come from? Like, you were afraid of him like 2 seconds ago, and now you're yelling at this guy.
That's just minding his own business at this point.
who he said was looking at him, but you know, you get out, you like assess someone else's situation. You're like, okay, I got out of the car. He hasn't looked over here since. So like, what's going on? But now he's looking over here. Like, so,
Yeah.
and I was because, what did you say? And I was like, are you done pumping gas? Like, I'm not doing this today. Like, I'm not getting anything. He's, no, I got an issue. Are you like looking at me? Like, what's your problem, bro? And I'm just like, fucking pump the gas. Like, do something. Shut the fuck up. And like, this guy hasn't moved from like the gas, like the wall. He's just kind of like yelling back, like, what's your problem? Because, you know, like any normal sane person would do. And so then this kid goes, I want to go up and talk to him. I was like, for what? Why do you want to go up to him? And he's like, this is fucking stupid. Like, he was literally like staring me down, bro. And then you got out, and I was like, no, like none of this matters. Like, it was like my own thing. Like, we're gonna get in the car, we're gonna do something. And finally, here comes the other two out of the gas station. And I guess one of them like waved or something at us, like just to get our attention. And they were close to the thing. So naturally that guy sees them wave at him and goes, you know this fucker? And then they turn around and this guy starts walking towards them. And then I'm like, oh, fuck. So I walk up. Meanwhile, little dude who started all this shit did not leave the side of the car after he has done all this. I run up to make sure that there's nothing. This guy walks up and goes, I want to know what your dude's problem is. And I was like, no. I don't know what's going on. This kid's like nuts. We don't even know him. And because that's just me. Whenever, like, fight or flight instinct, I don't go fight. I go mama bear. Like, I'm like, it's just a big misunderstanding. Like, we don't know this kid. We're just wrestlers. We don't want to do anything. And he's like, what? You're a wrestler? And I was like,
oh no.
Yeah, I'm a wrestler. And then all of a sudden this dude just, okay, so maybe we didn't almost die, but this is like one of those terrifying stories. So like, didn't know what was going to happen. But I watched this like dude 180 to go and like pull out his phone and go, oh, for real? What's your name, man?
Yeah, someone goes to their pocket and you're like, oh shit.
Like, I just remember, so like, I'm not afraid to buck up to somebody like whatsoever, and especially when like they're coming at some people that I respect and love. But like, I in my brain am ready to pounce if I need to, but I'm also kind of just like, please don't do anything. I don't want to fight right now. Like, that's just me. Like, can we just use our words?
Especially because it's like this was a non-issue. Fuck, like homeboy over here wouldn't shut his fucking mouth.
No. So here's the thing: is we talk to this guy, we come over, and so we decide to rip this kid, and so we're like, okay, everything was fine. Like, we talked to the guy, we come back over to the car, and we go over to him. We're like, yeah, dude, what the hell just happened? And he goes, well, I just thought he was doing. I'm like, yeah, we had to give that dude money because he threatened us, dude. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, he was threatening to like hit her and hit me and go crazy, and we don't need that. Like, I don't want to get arrested. Do you want to get arrested? So we gave him some money so he'd leave you alone. And this kid's like so upset. We're like, yeah, we're gonna let everyone at the school know, and you're gonna be in trouble. He's like, no, please don't tell us. I think that was the first thing that popped out of my brain for like, please don't die, because I remember like just realizing the stupidest situation that could have happened. Here I am in the middle of, and thank God this dude's just like turned into like this guy who's just like, oh, you're a wrestler, you're cool, bro. Like, thank God you're a sane human. Like, oh my God.
Because it's Florida, and really, it is a crapshoot on if someone's going to be a sane human or not.
Well, it's Florida, yeah, and you just get off the interstate, and you know, you've got like a few little gas stations around. You pull into one, and then it's just somebody standing pretty much in the middle of nowhere, just chilling.
Oof. Well, I'm glad that you survived.
Me too. What was the second question? I've done forgot myself.
Oh no, you're fine. If you have like a wrestling horror story where you get to like a venue or a company and you go, what the fuck is this?
I have the mother load of what the fuck is this? And here's the kicker. I put on the show. So before I got back into wrestling full time up here in Chicago, I actually was working with a wrestler from Florida. His name was Jason Static, or his name is, he's not dead. He wrote this play called We Don't Play Fight, where basically it's a 2-act play where act number 1 sets up the story, and then act number 2 is a live professional wrestling match inside of a theater, which is
fun.
Yeah, it was really interesting. They had developed it down in Florida for a while, and then once I was a part of every iteration of it. But we had some like pretty cool people that got in there too. Like Santana Garrett was a part of it. Thea Trinidad was a part of it. Just cool people. Jesse Neal was in it. But anyway, those are all the big people. There was more, but I'm not going to list all that. But anyway, he brought it up to Chicago, and we were going to do it at the Greenhouse Theater, and they had asked me to direct it. So I was like, yeah, sure. So we go through the whole rehearsal process. It's a 1-night only show. That's what we're doing. Come and see some theater and live professional wrestling. We're waiting once we get there for hours and hours. Wrestlers and actors are arriving, and the ring has not arrived. And we're like, what's going on? So we call the person who's supposed to be bringing the ring. They're like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. We had a flat tire on the interstate. We're going to be there as soon as possible. And we're like, okay, do you have like an ETA? Can we figure this out? And they're like, yeah, we should be there by like 5 o'clock. So we're like panicking now because show starts at 7. But we're like, okay, it's 2 hours, but we can do it, you know? Gets to be like 5:30. There's no ring there. They're like, yeah, we're still coming. Gets to be like 5:45. There's no ring there. And we're like, what's going on? Gets to be like 6 o'clock, and we're supposed to start getting ready for like doors to open for this show. There's no ring there. And that's when they call and say, yeah, we're not going to be able to come. And so, you know, we had prepared for the worst case scenario, but we were calling everyone else that we knew of in Chicago to go and get this professional wrestling, to find a professional wrestling ring. Anything. We would have taken a tiny one, a big one, whatever. Get it to us as soon as possible. So literally, one of my good friends up here, his name is Tully, a fellow wrestler, goes and gets a giant U-Haul and goes, I found a ring. And we're like, okay, where is it? It's in Villa Park, which is like 45 minutes outside of the venue. And we're like, okay. And mind you, it's pouring down rain outside, and we're like 45 minutes away from curtain up for the entire show. So me and like 4 wrestlers, including a fully in paint clown, hop into the back of this U-Haul, and we're riding down the road, just bouncing up and down. And we get to this little strip mall where Galley Lucha Libre actually trains here in Chicago, or just outside of Chicago. And it was Galley who was letting us use their ring. So we get there, we're like, okay, where's the ring? And he points to it. The ring is completely set up. So we have to break down this ring, take it all the way out of the strip mall, load it into a truck, drive all the way back to Chicago. By the time we get there, guests have already been sat for about 10 minutes. There are people in the theater. And we are literally in the rain, unloading a ring, taking it up 2 flights of stairs and around a corner in front of a live crowd, setting up this ring. And then to kick it off, or to, I guess, put the cherry on top of this shit sundae, there's this cross cable system underneath the ring. And like, we had professional wrestlers that have been in the business for like close to 20 years. We've had referees that were on the show that have worked for New Japan. They had worked for TNA. They had worked for Ring of Honor, everything. Not one person that was in that cast of like well-experienced wrestlers could figure out how to put these cross cables on this ring. Like, we were all looking at it like, how does this even function? Like, it wasn't like a normal cross cable that you just pull across. It had like different parts to it and things.
Oh no.
Oh no is right, because we kind of got it to work. But that ring, oh my God, it just looked like the poster board for a safety hazard. Like, it was kind of lopsided, and because the ring was lopsided, the ropes were taut, but they were still kind of like sideways. And we had to have full-on professional wrestling matches. And I remember looking at Paloma Star, who was in the show. She was wrestling, and she was like, Joey, what's going on? Because we're like really good friends. And I was like, we have to figure out how to wrestle in this thing. And what I'm going to tell everyone is, everyone gather around. Tonight, nobody bumps and no one hits the ropes. Go out there and have good matches.
So, like, no.
Oh no is right. Like, it worked for the acting part in the first part, but those matches, like, everyone got a 5-minute match, and then the final was a freaking Royal Rumble. That so basically I run out, and I had one spot of basically getting beat up because I was in the show, so I was playing like one of the characters. I was supposed to be like the like little rookie who was like trying to make it, and the big guy was beating me up. And I remember it was Jason Static in the ring, and he comes and he just like bams this like forearm right across me, and like didn't hold anything back, despite the fact that we were literally like fighting on a teeter-totter. And I stumble back and I go to hit the ropes. And literally, when I hit the ropes, they just kind of sank with me instead of being taut. So like, I went under and basically like folded myself into a hammock on these ropes.
Oh no.
And like, the crowd's like going like at everything that happens the entire night. So like, I finally, like, that was the biggest hot mess I have ever been a part of wrestling wise in my entire life. And I am partially responsible for it.
Well, did you have like more of a wrestling crowd or more of a theater crowd, or was it more 50-50?
It seemed more 50-50. There were definitely people that were familiar with wrestling, but we were also at the Greenhouse Theater here in Chicago. So like, they have like their season ticket holders and like stuff like that who were coming. So like, it was theater people, which you could tell who was theater people and who were wrestling people, because the crowd still gave us absolutely everything they could. Like, they saw us like literally struggling before them to get a ring up. And I think one of the coolest things that someone told me about the show was, they were like, you know, it was actually really cool to watch because we have no idea how a professional wrestling ring is set up. And I was like, well, here's the tea. You still don't, because that was a lot of shit. But it was cool to hear someone say that, because that, you don't really think about the fact that most people don't know what a wrestling ring's made out of.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, there's trampolines and I'm like, you're dumb.
That's the one. So like, padding or like a bed or something like that never upsets me. When people say it's like a trampoline, I get so irritated, because I was like, then why don't we bounce? Like literally, this core basis of a trampoline is it bounces you.
Yeah. People don't know. It's just light padding and boards for the most part.
Literally, it's such a wild thing. Ask any wrestler ever, period, to describe the reaction when somebody who doesn't watch wrestling asks them about wrestling. There's like 3 things that they ask. What? You mean like insert blank name of WWE wrestler here? Like, you mean like a huh? So it's either like Hulk Hogan or The Rock or John Cena, and you're like, yeah, like that. And the second one is, so is it like real, or is it like there's got to be like a trick to it, right? And then you have to explain that one and give like whatever your stock answer is, because every wrestler's got one. And then the last one is just like, so how do you get not get hurt? It's like,
by pure luck.
that. I always try to give like the professional answer, like, oh, we train to make sure that we know how to land and stuff. But no, that is the correct answer. It's by pure luck.
It's like, oh no, this all hurts. This everything that you do hurts. There's just different amounts of hurt in the things that you do.
Yeah, like eventually. So it was real interesting to me because I took that long break away from wrestling. So like when you first come back into a ring after a few years, you're like, I'm going to take a bump. I remember how to do this. It's just like riding a, oh, fuck. And that's like,
oh. So if you could go back in time, what would you tell a 10-year-old version of yourself? Don't trust those guys. They're not going to bring you that wrestling ring. Like,
I laughed so hard I made the stitch vibrate again. Sorry. If I go back in time and tell my like little self something, it would be to like, part of me wants to use the phrase like take your mask off, but I don't think that's really what I want to tell them. It's basically just be yourself. Because I feel like from me growing up, like how I did, like I had parents that were very much like, we want you to be this. We want you to do this. We want you to portray yourself as this. And it was, you know, that normal, like, they wanted me to be stereotypical, you know, plays football through high school, finds a good girl after high school, gets married, has like 3 kids, white picket fence, which I think is like, you know, what every parent really kind of almost wishes for their kid, just their version of what a decent life is, you know? But they always put such expectations on me because I am an only child. So I get that kind of like pressure on me. And I kind of fell into that where I was like always a little bit myself and always a bit quirky and just kind of Joey for the sake of being Joey. But I also made it a real point to kind of like be that person they wanted me to be. And I think that stuck with me so much until I finally let it go, because I was most of my life portraying something that I wasn't. Like, even when I got when I got through high school, into college, into everything post that, up until I came out, honestly, I was really just trying to be this version of Joey that I thought everyone would like. That was really nice, really, you know, just, I don't even know, like white wonder bread of a man was pretty much what I was trying to be. And I kind of held on to that. Like, even after the first years after I came out, I still kept trying to like use the phrase, like, I'm still Joey. Like, I'm still Joey. Like, that was the big thing I kept telling my parents. Like, I'm still this, like, I'm still that. And it really took a long time for me to get to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't care who's in front of me. I'm just going to say what I feel and do what I want. And as long as I ain't hurting nobody or being mean, who cares? I'm just Joey. Take it or leave it. And I think that's what I would tell my younger self, because it just took me so long to get there. Like somewhere between like 26 to 29 years of my life to get to a point where I was finally just comfortable with myself. And I think that I let that get to me for so long. So yes, little Joey, if you're watching in the past, once they invent what is called the future TV in the year 2027, wait, when is that? I don't know. Math. That was a badly timed joke. But yeah, just stop giving a fuck. Take that up. Be yourself is pretty much my advice.
So I just have a few kind of like short, kind of fun questions left, and then we'll wrap it
Yay!
up. So if there was a Joey Mayberry scented candle, what would it smell like?
Ooh, it would smell like a vanilla. Definitely. Like not just plain vanilla, but like that, you know, that birthday cake smell vanilla. That's kind of like that. Like birthday cake, vanilla, frozen yogurt, and probably strawberries. Yeah, strawberries and birthday cake. Strawberry birthday cake. That'd be me. Yeah. Took me a minute to get there, but I got there.
I knew we'd find it. What is the biggest animal that you could take in a fight with just your hands, no weapons? You can pretend it's attacking you, so you don't have to like attack it.
Oh, like going through my Rolodex of animals, probably not like a horse or anything with like claws. Little thing about me that you'll probably never see me in a death match, because I don't do well with blood. Like I don't do well with my own blood. I kind of freak out. Like I've definitely bled in matches, but it's always kind of like, so I figure if I get like in light tubes and there's just like blood going everywhere, I would probably be like, no. So probably nothing with claws. I would fight. I would run away. I feel like I could take out like a zebra, like a solid zebra I could take down and beat up.
Okay. Fair enough. So how do you take your pancakes? What do you like in them and on them?
I love a cinnamon swirl pancake.
That's the move.
It's so good. Give me that with like some cream cheese, kind of like icing on top, or I like syrup, but I love like flavored syrup. So if I could have like a cinnamon swirl with like maybe some like cream cheese kind of thing on it and like some strawberry syrup, that's on the money for me.
That is excellent choice. Cinnamon rolls are great. Cinnamon roll in a pancake is also great.
Oh
like it's the two best breakfast things.
I'm literally drooling right now.
Aww.
Like, yes, my mouth is watering. Now I want those.
So I'm going to take you on like a little like journey. So if you just want to like, just go with me. So imagine, if you will, you are in a store, you're hungry, you want something sweet. You're like walking down the aisles and you go down like the cookie aisle and you're like, great, you told me you love cookies. So you're going to go to the cookie aisle and you look at all the cookies and you don't want like a chocolate chip cookie or like a peanut butter cookie or like those Milano cookies. No. You want America's favorite cookie, which is the Oreo. So you go to the section with all of the Oreos and you're like, I don't want any of like the flavors. Like, I don't want like a Swedish fish Oreo today. No. I just want a chocolate, right? I just want like a chocolate white cream center Oreo, but you still have choices. You can get like the thin Oreos. You can get like a single stuffed Oreo, just your, standard Oreo. You can get a double stuffed Oreo, or you can get like either like the most stuffed or the mega stuffed, like an exorbitant amount of stuff.
Right.
Like which Oreo are you getting?
Oh, solid double stuff all day, baby. Like, if I need more stuff, I can just make it into a quadruple stuff myself. Like, I don't need to buy all this stuff that's going to take up the space of my Oreo package. So, double stuff.
That is the unofficial correct answer to the question. So, fuck yeah. I knew I liked you. And it is purely because of your Oreo preferences.
Oh, oh, I love it. That's the reason why. That makes me happy. But also that's like my husband and I's guilty pleasure. Like if we're like wanting to munch, especially if we've been doing something, we're like, go ahead and bring out the Oreos. But I have a challenge for you. I know that you weren't like keen on the flavors. Have you tried the Brookie Oreo?
I don't think so.
So it's an Oreo and it's got 3 different layers of cream on it. And one layer is like a chocolate chip cookie flavored cream, then the regular Oreo cream, and then a brownie flavored cream, all in one little Oreo. And it's, oh my God.
That actually sounds good. Some of the flavors I'm like,
Oh, you're talking to what is known as a connoisseur. I believe that's a dinosaur as well, but no, that's a joke. It's not. Top 3 Brookie Oreo, the late great carrot cake Oreo, and the red velvet Oreo that existed. Moi. And 2 of them are gone forever, and I'm so saddened by it.
Aww. IP Oreos.
I know. Please, Oreo, if you are watching, who owns Oreo? I don't know. Probably Disney. Disney, please bring back.
Well, it was Nabisco, but I think it's Mondelez now.
Oh, I don't know the second word.
It's a giant food corporation that owns many brands of different foods, but I'm pretty sure it's Mondelez or Mondelez, however you want to pronounce it.
Whoever I have to pray to bring the carrot cake and red velvet Oreos back, I will bow down, oh deity. I need it.
So this question comes from Vic. He would always ask this question when we did lives. He's one of our loyal Bald Monkeys viewers, the Stack viewer. He would always ask it, but now that we're not doing lives, I ask it on his behalf. So who do you think has the best gear of all time?
Ooh, there's so many good options. Sorry, you see my eyes going places? I'm like just staring at different wrestling action figures, being like, who's got it? You know, I'm just gonna go with my favorite, and I'm giving it to 3 of them because they're a trio, but Hardy's and Lita, like, come through. Like, especially for that era, like they were just perfect. Like they didn't even really wear gear, but like.
But when you see a fishnet shirt, you automatically think Jeff Hardy, don't you?
I think that when I see a thong to this day, I still think of Lita. Like, it doesn't matter who's got the thong on. I'm just like, where's the tattoo and the long red hair? It's going to be around here somewhere. And like everything about them was just it was for like 2000 and 2001. Like that was the look. They were everything. You couldn't beat them. Like, I'm going to go with that.
Fair enough. So what upcoming shows do you have?
I have quite a few. Are you ready for the list?
Yes.
So this Friday, it's going to be November the 18th. I have Chicago Style Wrestling right here in the Chicago area. It's technically in Franklin Park. Then the next day, I'm going to be in Wisconsin Dells wrestling at Colossal Con for at cosplay wrestling. So if you're at Colossal Con and Wisconsin Dells, come and check me out there. Do you want to know who I'm cosplaying as?
Yes. Stack exclusive.
What if I told you that you could never underestimate the importance of body language?
If you know, you know. And if you don't, you'll have to find out at the Wisconsin Dells.
I get my outfit's officially like coming in tailored tomorrow, and I'm so excited to try it on. But then Sunday, the November 20th, I have a double shot. I'm going to be in Southern Illinois to wrestle for All Heel Wrestling. I'm going to be taking on Greg Murray for the #1 contendership for the All Heel Wrestling Championship, which would be fun. Then in Evanston, Illinois, later the same day, I'm going to be teaming up with Chalance Royale to face some mystery opponents. at Palm House Pro Wrestling. I'll be in Janesville, Wisconsin for Janesville Wrestling Alliance, JWA, on November the 26th. And then I'll be in the lovely sunny place of not quite Orlando, Altamont Springs, for pro wrestling action on December the 16th. Oh, and Northland Pro Wrestling on December 3rd in Woodstock, Illinois. Those are all my shows I have on the books coming up.
Well, it sounds like you have your hands full, which is awesome. Love to see you busy. Where can people find you on social media? Twitter, Instagram, if you have like a Facebook fan page, YouTube, Twitch, Patreon, OnlyFans, TikTok, merch store, whatever you have, plug it all.
I got it. Let's plug away. I love it. So Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at Joey_Mayberry. You can find me on TikTok at Joey.Mayberry because they were iffy on the underscore. Check out my YouTube. You can just check out Joey Mayberry, search on there. Also, if you're on YouTube, please check out Ring the Bell. I'm a host on there. It is amazing. We discuss women's wrestling from all the, I want to say, major promotions. We're trying our best, but we're only a team of 4 people at most. Typically, it's usually just DS. But also, please check out Golden Era Podcast, where we discuss classic women's wrestling. It's me and Jake Smith. It's streaming wherever you stream podcasts. Let me think if I have anything else. I do have a merch store. All of it is linked in all of my social medias. And then I do have a Facebook fan page, but like I do not use it. I just don't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I should probably get on it, but like I feel like Facebook is just like America's slowly dying pastime.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the Twitter situation, it's like you never know. Let's hope for the best.
You know what I'm hoping for? To just say, fuck it all and go back to MySpace. Give me MySpace. I'll take that.
So, MySpace doesn't really exist anymore, but
we can bring
check out Space Hay.
Space Hay?
Mm-hmm. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Okay. Is it spelled like hay or like horse eats hay?
No, like hay.
Okay. Hey.
Check out Space Hay and let me know what you think. I think that you will be pleasantly surprised by Space Hay.
I will go check it out. Probably not tonight. I'm going to bed right after we hang up.
I expect a full report tomorrow morning.
On my desk, young man. Okay. Right away, teacher. Yes, headmaster. Yes.
Don't make me call your parents and put it on your permanent record.
No, please don't tell the principal. No, headmaster, no. I don't know why. My default is this British school child.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out. This has been a blast. My face hurts from laughing. That's a good sign.
That's thank you so much for having me. And if your face is hurting from laughing, that's honest to God, music to my ears. My love language to people is I love to make people laugh. So hearing that, you warmed my heart and I love you for it. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank
you. Once again, this has been The Stack. I'm Val Pancakes. This has been Joey Mayberry. Please check him out on all of his social medias. Big thank you to Wrestling Over Everything and Table Bump for sponsoring the Bald Monkeys and The Stack. And thank you for tuning in. And thank you, Joey, for hanging out with us tonight.
No problem. I'll be back anytime. I'll bring pancakes next time.
Love that.
Yes.